great start to your senior coaching career, mate.
Yeah, well, I think I might have mentioned after the game, I think anyone would say after round one, however you do it, dirty or pretty or whatever the margin is, you just like to bank those 4 points and move on to the next one. So, yeah, very pleased.
No bigger test than this week, is it, to see where you're exactly at?
Yeah, exactly right. I think it's really good to get that test early. And, you know, when you look at our fixture, we then have a bye and then roll into Lauderdale and Glenorchy as well. So our first month of footy, we get a real good opportunity to see as a club or as a playing group what we've been working on over the summer, how it translates as well. So, yeah, fantastic test. I think it's good to be able to get away on the bus and bond a little bit more and just go up in an environment where no one's expecting much of us and see what we can do.
Is the footy that you played against North Hobart good enough to beat a North Launceston?
I think in this competition, if anyone plays their best footy on the day, anyone can beat anyone. Like, you know, we've talked about with those teams going out how much even the competition is now. So we'd like to think that our brand of footy can stand up against anyone, and well, it has to if you want to go anywhere in the competition as well.
How does preparation differ heading into a match like this on the weekend compared to a round one against North Hobart?
Yeah, round one's a little bit of a different beast. By the time the fixture comes out, you know, you've got 3-4 months to prepare for one opponent, and then all of a sudden you've got 1 week to prepare for the next one. We've obviously had a pretty good look at the vision of how they went about it, you know, their transition, their ball movement, what they do at stoppage. So we've had a good look at that and reviewed that in our lines and as a whole group. And but we don't want to overload the guys too much. It's about us going up and trying to play our brand firstly. If you start worrying too much about the opposition, and you know, Northline is an opposition that you can probably do your own head in worrying about a little bit too much, but we'll concentrate on us. We'll give the guys some guidelines about, you know, how we want to go about it and rip into it.
Teams with North, they come out strong, and if they sort of shut you down the first quarter, it's curtains from them. How do you prevent that early destruction, I suppose? I
think if you looked at Friday night's game against Lonnie, I think in the first quarter they got first hands on ball a lot from stoppage, and were able to, their mids, you know, Taylor, Cox, Goodyear, Walsh, were able to spread hard forward of the footy. You know, they all kick goals as running midfielders. So it's just even having that contest or evening it out in the middle and trying to get first hands on ball and get it in our area, and then we'll try and use our smalls up forward to keep it in and lock it in for periods of the game and try and go about it that way.
Secret out a little bit with guys like Edward Burris Cheng and Cooper Sorty. These the guys really showed plenty in round one.
Yeah, like we knew what we were going to get from Eddie anyway. Like, you know, from his past, from the way he went about his footy at Bond, and he was a junior at the club, so we knew what Eddie's talents or tricks were. Probably the competition didn't, but now they do. So that's a great challenge for Ed as well. Like, they're going to have someone for him this week, so to see how he reacts to that. And you know, Cooper Sorty's probably been played in defence a fair bit in his time in the Mariners and as well at Tigers in the last 3 or 4 years when he's got that senior opportunity. But you know, over the course of the pre-season, we liked what he did as a forward, leading up at the footy, like giving us a target to kick to, coming out of defence when we were able to switch the footy. So yeah, but also it's good for him now that, you know, they'll send a defender to him and we can see what he can do under a little bit of pressure as well.
Any changes, mate? So you get to run scathe?
No, obviously Connor Bryant with his AC joint. Look, the good thing is about that, there's no break or no fractures in that. He's just having a little bit of a battle early with movement, so we won't play Connor this week. He'll be right after the bye. So Cam Woolley will come back in for us, who missed round one he had a workplace accident. He cut his knee, so he had some stitches in his knee. So he'll come straight in and do a job for us down back. And then Ben Donnelly will miss from a Mariners structure day. So they've got a training camp type setup. So unfortunately Ben will miss this week. And we just haven't decided on that second spot yet. We need to look how a few guys get through training tonight and how they pull up from last night's training.
This weekend going to be a big test in terms of running with that small forward line of yours. Are you on the hunt for a big key forward throughout the season? Are you comfortable running with that smaller, quicker forward line?
I think we're comfortable with that as sort of, you know, our one wood, so to speak. And but we'll also look to, you know, with Heath Thompson and Hugh Johnson as well as our ruck tandem. We'll look at times, depending on who we're playing, how we're going at resting one of those forwards. So it's not, you know, the end of the world that we don't have a name sort of full forward with size or key forward. You know, we back those guys in to roll forward if we need that taller target as well.
How's the week been following the opening game, mate?
It's been good. I mean, it's first time majority of the group have actually had a game reviewed, so that was a really good learning tool. There's plenty of positives to take out of the game last week. I thought for parts of the game we were right in it, particularly at half time. Towards the back end of the game, the younger guys particularly cramped up, so obviously there's a conditioning issue there, but they're only 16 and 17 majority, so you know the vibe's been really positive this week.
What do you make of Lonnie? I think a lot of people thought they'd be a lot closer to North Lonnie than what they were, and how do you approach them this week?
Yeah, we go up there. I mean, obviously they bat pretty deep in the midfield, up forward. You know, there's some keys up there as well. So we've got to get our matchups right there. They'll be disappointed with the result last week. I mean, obviously there's been expectations outside that they were going to be one of the real good teams this year, and obviously North Lonnie were pretty dominant in their win, but we've got to go up there fully prepared and lock down on their key players and give a good account of ourselves. We've actually had a good record up there last year. We beat them. Obviously we've got a new group this year. We're just going to have to take the game on, make the ground really big, and I'm sure the guys will give a good account of themselves.
Have you got that real buy-in from this young group? Is it tough to tell one of the young guys, you know, you got a job on Dylan Riley or Jay Blackberry or a young defender you're playing on Mitch Thorpe this week?
Yeah, it's a good question. But I mean, obviously you hope you've got the group, and I think I have, and the other coaches are in the same boat. I mean, they come in with a smile on their face. You tell them you're playing on this player this week, and we're so lucky with the huddle that we can actually see all the vision from the previous game. So you just tell them to go home and research who they're playing on, so at least they go into a game knowing strengths and weaknesses. And it's a big challenge again, but you know, it's good that you can give these guys good players to play on, because it's obviously a learning curve for them. So at the moment they're thriving on the challenges they're getting, and I thought back to last week's game, we were, as I said, quite competitive, except for sort of probably, you know, 2 or 3 5-10 minute patches. So that's just a learning thing as well. So as the season goes on, we've got to eliminate those sort of breakdowns in the game plan, but it's all a learning curve, and we'll continue to teach, and by the end of the year that they'll be very competitive.
How big a part is mental toughness going to play for a young and inexperienced squad? Obviously, if you're being rolled in the first half, for example, how important is it for the young group to keep their heads up and stay competitive?
Yeah, very important. Over the next 2 or 3 weeks, we should get a couple of the older senior players back. Sean Willison's back training, and he's obviously in line for a career contract, so we'll wait and see what happens there. But obviously someone like him coming back on board gives the guys can help with the structures, and obviously he's played a lot of footy now, so they can learn on him as they go along. I suppose there's got to be times where we change training up a little bit. We can't do the same thing every night, so there'll be times throughout the year we'll freshen them up, freshen their minds up, change things up a bit. We'll go to the gym rather than being on the ground, 3 nights a week. So I take what you're saying, that it's going to be tough at times, but as I said, the group's a vibrant young group, and we'll keep teaching them, and they'll keep learning, and then, as I said, by the end of the year they'll be better footballers than they are now.
How many games do you think you'll win this year?
That's a good question. As I said, we go in every week. I mean, you can't put a number on how many games you're going to win or lose. We go in every week fully prepared, and I think, as I've said again, towards the back end of the year, where we get all our Mariners back, obviously they're unavailable again this week, the top end Mariners we have at the club. So by the end of the year, you'll see an exciting group of young men representing the footy club really well.
After losing obviously a few players in the off-season, has there been anyone that's stepped up and impressed you with their leadership skills?
Well, I think the obvious one's Hugh Williams. He's taken his leadership to another level. Obviously we've got a very, very young group, and just the way he welcomes the new guys to the club is outstanding. Nathan McCulloch, he's only been back for 6 or 7 weeks, and he takes the young guys under his wing. Brad Tilby with his training standards as well, and a young guy like Bailey Walker, who's only just turned 18. Some of the development and improvement he's shown in the last 6 months is a credit to him. So he's a future young leader of the club, and he got another big job again this week, so it's another exciting challenge for him.
Did you get to the footy last week and have a look at some of the opposition you'll be coming up against, and what did you learn from the opening round?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, I got to watch the 2 games down here and the live stream from up there, so it was fantastic to really have a look at the footy. Obviously, the Lauderdale-Clarence game was the one I really paid a lot of attention to, and not a lot of surprises there, but Lauderdale are a team that they pressure extremely well, and when they force that turnover, they go quick, and they're pretty well set up to score off those turnovers. So, that's going to be one of the keys for us this week.
How much of an advantage or disadvantage is it starting with the bye? I mean, you get to, on one hand, you do get to have a look at all the teams and obviously pick and choose what you can do in the following week. Is it a big advantage for you guys?
Oh, I'll tell you at quarter time. It's one of those ones. Sometimes, having that extra week is great. Sometimes teams don't come out well after a bye, but I think for our guys, it's not so much a bye. It was just an extra week of pre-season, and we'll see. But it's going to be on. Our guys have got a point to prove after last year. Lauderdale are a team that don't take a backward step, so I think it's going to be on pretty early.
KG4 has been a fortress for you guys in the past. Has slipped a little bit away last season. Do you want to try and get back to that, where it's intimidating for other teams to come and play?
Yeah, absolutely. We just want to play every ground well. We want to be a really good team. And, when we sat down and did our visioning and expectation stuff with the players, their expectations are really high. A lot of talk around the competition about who'll be good or whatever, but the guys don't talk much about that, but they have a quiet expectation that they'll be one of the best teams in the competition, and they don't back away from it. And I don't really have to do much stuff around that because, they understand what it takes to be successful, and that's our aim. We want to win all our games at home, but we have an expectation each week to play well.
How's the squad in terms of fitness, mate? Can we expect you guys at full strength in terms of Webster and Bowden, etc.?
Yeah, we're pretty close to full strength. Most of the key names will be playing. It's been a good pre-season. It's been a long one, so we're pretty fit. We back ourselves in that area, and the majority of our key guys are raring to go, and it has felt like a long pre-season for them. And I said to Zach Webster the other day, because when I first got offered the job, I gave him a call because I'd worked with him previously, and I walked into training Tuesday night. He was sitting there, and I said, "How long ago does that call feel like?" It feels like it was about 5 years ago. We're definitely ready to go.
Was it a case of just picking up where Ace left off, or have you implemented a lot of new things and really wiped the slate clean with this group of players coming into 2018?
I wouldn't say I've wiped the slate clean, because what Ace did was really build the fundamentals of playing the modern game. What I've sort of said is I shuffle the cards a bit differently, so it will look different. But it's been easy for me as a coach because, that senior playing group already has a lot of that knowledge, and it's just about shaping it a little bit differently. And then they've been able to help teach the younger guys. We've brought a lot of young guys through our pre-season. I think we've played something like 24 teenagers in our 2 practice games. We've got a lot of under 18. I think we've got 13 under 18s in our senior list. So it's been great in that regard, having senior players who can really aid those guys' development and bring them along.
Yeah, you say the majority of key players will play. Who'll play and who'll miss?
Have you got the internet?
Well,
No, look, we haven't finalised the team. We are still waiting on a couple of boys just how they pull up. I reckon we'd be pretty close to full strength. The guys you mentioned will all be playing.
Do you feel like you have the core group of players to go deep into the season and have success?
Yeah, we've got a talented list. Whether we can go deep into the season depends on how we play and how we go about it. But in terms of the basics of having the talent to do it, yeah, there's no doubt about that. I think everyone knows Glenorchy's got good talent.
And how's footy going, Glenorchy, mate? At a lower level, you said you're part of the under-16s. Is it strong? We had a team may miss out in one of the underage levels this year, which is quite a surprise for such a big area, I guess.
There's been some issues from the junior side of things for a couple of years, which sort of came to a head last year with no under-16 team, an under-18 team that was really struggling and didn't win a game. We've put a lot of effort into that side of it. We've got good numbers in under-16s. We've got excellent numbers in under-18s. It looks like we'll have teams in every age group bar one, which is 2 more teams than we had last year. This weekend we're having the Bring KG5 Alive Day, where we're going to have some of our junior teams playing Little League. We're going to have jumping castle, inflatable slides, face painting, all that sort of jazz. All our juniors will be there. We've invited juniors from our neighbouring clubs in our zone to come along and sort of have a deal for them with some free entry for their parents and all that sort of stuff. So we're really looking to build that side of it. And I sort of say that, you look, footy used to be the centre of the community, and the community shifted and footy stayed where it is. So we're really keen this year to build stuff to re-engage our community, re-engage our juniors, and really make them a part of what we do as a TSL club, and give them more reasons than just that game of footy to come along and enjoy the day and be a part of our club.
Elephant in the room, I suppose. Is the club going to appeal the suspension for Jordan?
I don't know. I know they're at a meeting right now discussing it, so I'll find out about that as soon as I walk out of here.
There's no choice but to, is there? Because if you don't, it's all over for him for a little while.
Yeah, but I guess there's a lot of other parts that play into it. Geordie's mental state as well and things like that, whether he wants to. It's taken a fair impact on him.
Did you, how did he feel after the game? He was sitting on 15 suspension, he pulls off a tackle like that. How down on himself was he?
Yeah, he was a little bit disappointed, and I had a quick word to him and just said not to worry about it and just get on with it. And I guess as a coach, that's all you can really do is try and take his mind off it, but it's always going to be sitting in the back of his head.
What did you make of the penalty handed down last night?
Yeah, I can't comment on that.
So was he always going back to Queensland, or was he taken away to get away from Tassie, or?
Yeah, no, he's got a business up and going up there, so he's just run back just to check on that, and then he was due to come back down.
On round one, mate, what did you make of it? Obviously, losing Walshy was a big blow up to 10 weeks there, and then the loss as well. What were your thoughts on the opening round?
Yeah, it was a great start with everything that's happened. Look, I think we played extremely well. We set some goals at the start of the game, and we probably didn't capitalise on some of our chances to kick goals. If we had to kick those, we go in at half time with a 3 or 4 goal break. We didn't, and then even in the third quarter, I think our inside 50s were 19 to about 5, and we just blew so many opportunities and kept Clarence in the game, and we run out of puff in the end, and they made use of that. And that's pretty much all it come down to. We didn't capitalise on our chances in the third quarter. Our defensive pressure was outstanding. We had 50 tackles at half time, and I don't think we've ever had that. And that's been one of our main focus points through the pre-season, was getting that right, and we got it right. And we just didn't take our offensive opportunities.
When does cattle start to become an issue? You obviously lose Bryce, and Thor's out for an extended period. You might lose Jordan. When does it start to become too thin, I suppose?
It's an interesting question. Look, we've got a lot of faith in the guys that are still there, and we've got some guys playing in the development league that can certainly step up. I mean, the thing that really hurts is at this stage of the year, you lose your Mariners and that, and they play a key part in your team as well. So, once they come back, it sort of starts to fill a few holes. But at the moment, when you get a few injuries go down, it does make it tough, especially having Bryce and Thor out of the midfield.
Those new Northern Territory blokes, I guess, showed glimmers of what they're capable of. The exciting group to have in the mix, and once you refine their game a little bit to your style, they're going to be invaluable. Yeah,
they've got tricks, that's for sure. They certainly do, and around goals they're deadly. And it's just, I guess they've got to get used to playing with all the boys. They're still probably getting used to everyone's names, which makes it hard when you're trying to call for the ball. But there's a few times there where we got on the fast play, and they were out and they were outstanding, getting out in the spaces, and it was certainly exciting to watch. So playing in KG5 this weekend, that's the reason we brought these type of guys in, because finals are played at Bellerive. Well, they're only at Bellerive this year, and it's a big ground, and you need guys that can run and cover the ground, and that's what they've added to our group.
What do you make of Glenorchy? I guess they dropped off the pace a little bit last year, but new coach, still a good list. How do you approach them?
Yeah, like anytime you take on Glenorchy, they're been one of the yardsticks for a couple of years. They did drop off a little bit last year, but I think they had a few blokes carrying injuries and things like that, which didn't help, and I'm sure that they've changed that over the summer. And you go through their top 7 or 8 players, and I mean, you've got 2 listed ex-AFL listed players, plus they've got guys like Jay Bowden and Braden Webb who have dominated the league for nearly a decade now, and you've got to put a lot of time into those guys. And you've got Webster and Motty running around doing their thing as well. They're certainly a good team.
A couple of big ins for you guys this week, I believe. McGuinness and McManus.
Yes, we get Robbie and Josh back from their round 1 suspension, and they'll certainly be 2 handy inclusions given the 2 that we lost on the weekend.
How big a hole does Jordan leave if he doesn't play this weekend?
Yeah, Geordie's he's a great player. He's only small, but he plays big. He's like the old traditional centre half forward that you used to see run around in the 60s and 70s. jump up and sit on someone's head, but he's very tough, tackles hard. You know, he's had a rugby league background his whole junior life, which is probably why he tackles sometimes the way he does. But yeah, he gives us a lot of aggression and helps the outside players, so he will be missed.
Knowing that Jordan was on 15 games, I suppose, coming into this season, was there any instruction to him pre-season to change the way he goes about it a little bit to avoid, I suppose, this situation?
Not really, because you sort of don't want to keep talking about it and put it in his head. I know Geordie had a training program over the summer, which he did quite well. He trained with the Gold Coast Academy kids up in Cairns. He also spent some time with a rugby league club up there doing some tackling work. And look, it was just one of those things that, spare of the moment, it just happens just like that. And everyone sits back and watches the video in slow-mo, and this could have happened or this could have happened, and until you're actually there and it just happens, it's hard to judge.
How important is getting off to a fast start against the Pies on the weekend to ensure you're not 2-2 after the weekend?
Yeah, look, any game's important to get a good start, especially against Glenorchy out there on their home deck. You know, it's their first game for the year, so they're going to be looking to get a good start as well. So hopefully if we can jump them, it might put a few doubts in their mind. So yeah, it's really important.
Obviously, a number of players rubbed out from grand final last year, and the senior coach missing as well. Now Robert's potentially missing. Has that been addressed at all in the off-season? Has there been any sort of cultural issues, you think?
No, I don't think we have any cultural issues. I mean, that was thrown about at the end for the keyboard warriors on social media. But look, until you're actually there internally and you get to know the guys, and all clubs are the same, there's no cultural issues there. We just had a few things didn't go our way in the grand final, and some boys didn't deal with it as we would have liked. And look, we've learned from that and moved on. And you can sit there and dwell on the grand final as much as you like. We can't change anything. We just got to learn, okay, we've got new players into the group. Let's move forward and do better this year.